Hello, this is your January Council catch-up. So our January 16th Council meeting began at 6:30 p.m. as scheduled. The national anthem was sung and then we adopted our agenda. There was no disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof, and we moved into an in-camera session. The in-camera session was in regards to discussions for appointments to the Committee of Adjustment Committee. We had one resignation which we had to replace. We had a few applicants which were discussed in camera, and later on in the agenda we did appoint an individual, which I will get to. So the next item is a consent agenda, and that was approval of the minutes, which was November 28th Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes, December 11th public meeting minutes, December 11th council meeting minutes, December 14th council budget meeting minutes, December 18th special council meeting minutes, January 8th 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, and those were all approved without any errors or omissions. The next items were staff reports, and there were 3 reports that were approved and 1 got pulled. So Corporate Services Report SR-211-23, the 2024 Water and Wastewater Operating and Capital Budgets was passed, as was the Administration Report SR-209-23, Recreation Cost Sharing Agreement for the Lou Jeffries Arena for 2024, and also the Corporate Services Report SR-208-23, Amendment to the General Rates and Fees Bylaw. The Corporate Services Report SR-210-23, which was the 2024 Municipal Operating and Capital Budget, was pulled from this consent agenda so we could have further discussion. So when we pulled this, we had great discussion in regards to the tax rates and how they sit right now, what we were being faced with as far as the costs associated with the rising costs associated with running anything and everything, whether it be construction, whether it be roads, whether it be staff, whether it be just the cost of goods in general, as everyone is suffering right now, whether it be home costs, food, gas. Everything is costing more, and unfortunately it doesn't change anything for the municipality. The good news is, and to me there is a good news story here. So the overall anticipated tax rate increase is 5%. Your tax bill is made up of 3 components: the township part, the county part, and the school board part. We don't anticipate any increase to the school board portion of your tax bill. The county is currently debating a 6.28 increase on their budget, and ours was 5.25 for our portion. But if you amalgamate them all together, the overall increase, if the school board stays at 0 and the county doesn't go above and beyond the 6.28, we will be faced with an overall 5% increase. What does that mean to you, the taxpayer? The best way to explain the tax rate increase that we have approved here for just the township budget is to use the median household assessed value, which is $205,000. On a $205,000 bill, the increase equates to approximately $55 a year. So if you look at it from the point of view that the township needed an increased amount of $55 on the median household assessment of $205,000, that means that that's the increase for sand and salt. The costs have increased to buy fire trucks, to buy plow trucks. Everything and anything has increased, as everybody is experiencing. We're not immune to that. But I wanted to talk about the specifics of that, because not everybody understands that there's many parts to a tax bill, and the overall tax rate, if the county doesn't come in any higher than what it has proposed, the overall increase will be about 5%. So you're probably looking at, on the median household, in and around $100 increase over a whole year. So if you budget monthly, then obviously you're going to divide that by 12 and add that to your monthly costs associated with running your household. But our hope is that now that we've got things under control from an infrastructure point of view, and knowing what our expectations are going forward for repair, rehabilitation, all of the things, whether it be roads, bridges, culverts, structures, we have enough money going forward without having to borrow too much. I will also say that if you own a home and you understand MPAC assessment. For many years, there was something called MPAC phase-in assessment. So that meant that your house was appraised at maybe what you purchased it for. So let's say you purchased it for $150,000, but then over a series of years, they would slightly increase your assessed value, which would in turn increase your tax bill with us here at the township. But the township didn't have any say in that. That was an independent body, which is the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, MPAC. So since COVID, MPAC has stopped all phase-in. So in the old days, you would have had phase-in, and then we would have adjusted our tax rate according to the increased tax revenue we would have got because of the increased assessed value of people's homes. So if we factor that in, it's about 2.7%. So the reality is our increase to our tax rate, if we had have had phase-in, is only about 2.3%. There's only one taxpayer, it's you, the resident, but this can be very confusing to understand. What I don't want people to think is that we're taking undue and unnecessary increases. We're doing this because we have the knowledge now with our asset management plan of what is required to move forward here in the township and what it is we need to repair, rebuild, or actually build new. And we have a couple of exciting projects that have just finished and will be coming up, you may have known, which is the fire station and Ivy Lee Wharf, which has just been completed. So if you have questions about your tax bill, you can always reach out to our staff here at the township. They are happy to answer questions and explain these things to you when you have time yourself, and you can ask one-on-one questions. We are always able to do that for you so that you can better understand your tax bill. Our hope is that you can manage this within your household income and with everything else that is increasing, but we are trying to do the best we can with the dollars that we have. The next items that were on the agenda are the information items, which was the residential food waste diversion pilot program results. And that was a very exciting report to see because we diverted a number of metric tons of waste from our landfills for those who participated in the actual pilot project. The estimates are quite staggering of how much we diverted from the landfill because we created compost with the members of the study that volunteered. So thank you for those who put their hand up, came in, paid their money to get the food cycler, and were part of the project. It was very successful. Also, the Leeds Regional Training Center RTC manual, Regional Training Center manual SR-001 was also approved, and that was to how we run things in the back end of things. Next item were action items, and that was the appointment of a new member to the Committee of Adjustment, and that is Todd Robertson. And he was an individual who had applied also to be a member of council. One of the things that we had said during that process to all of the applicants that if they weren't successful, we would hope that if there was an opportunity that came up during the term or in the new term, that committee appointments, they should definitely consider to be part of a committee to have a better understanding of what's going on here in the township. So congratulations, Todd, and we look forward to seeing you on that committee. We also move forward with a library memorandum of understanding for administrative services. What that means is that we essentially handle the financial services for the library. The library, while it's part of the township, actually runs independently of the municipality as they run through a board of directors. But from just a bookkeeping point of view, we have their money and they're mostly funded by the municipality. So we have an agreement that we work under through the MOU to provide financial services, which makes things easier for them. Every year when we have to go through the budgeting process, we can help create those budgets for them and work with them based on their last year's purchases and what they need to do going forward. We also approved a temporary borrowing bylaw, which we're obligated to do every year. Thankfully, we've not had to use that borrowing facility in many, many, many years. And hopefully that will remain the same, but we're just dotting an I and crossing a T there. And then we passed the interim tax levy bylaw, which allows us to levy taxes based on the approved bylaw or the approved budget. The garbage and recycling collection contract for the Lansdowne Village was also approved, and that's with Fletcher's Disposal. So if you live within the Village of Lansdowne, you pay an additional fee on your tax bill over and above any of the other members of the municipality to have garbage and recycling pickup. So that contract was extended for 18 months. And lastly was Councillor Lackey's notice of motion, which was casino property tax revenue agreement with the town of Gananoque. Councillor Lackey had a concern that the original agreement was with the government and not with a for-profit organization, and that the agreement might be challengeable. Right now, currently, we split property taxes with the city or the town of Gananoque, where they get half of the taxes as well as half of the proceeds from the slot revenues that we both get equally. So Councillor Lackey spoke with staff. We pulled the agreement. It is clearly stated that whether it's a charity casino or whether it's a for-profit casino, that in both instances that we have committed to sharing 50% of the tax revenue with the town of Gananoque. So he withdrew his notice of motion. Regarding the mayor's update, Councillor Maybe, Deputy Mayor Fody, and myself are attending Roma, and that's beginning this Saturday until Tuesday. And that's in Toronto, and we will be there arriving either Saturday or Sunday, depending on our obligations. Also, Sealy's Bay Frost Fest is coming up, and it's going to be held February 2nd to the 5th. Please check social media and other means to find out the details about Frost Fest. This is a very well attended and a lot of fun. The fireworks are always a highlight, and we thank all of the volunteers in the local community for supporting such a great event. There are 2 public forums to be held to discuss plans for the Lansdowne Community Garden in Jerry Park, and they are going to be held on February 21st, 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. at the Lansdowne Community Building in the Seniors Room. So if you can please mark your calendar if you have an interest in that. It's February 21st, 2 p.m. or 6 p.m. at the Lansdowne Community Building at the Seniors Room. So we're calling all local businesses that the Digital Main Street Digital Transformation Grants are still eligible and open for brick and mortar small businesses. The application portal will be open until January 31st. If you have questions about this, I would highly recommend that you call the Small Business Enterprise Center, which is located with our Economic Development Office at the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. They are excellent resources. They also have more than just this program that can help local businesses scale and grow and sustain themselves. A couple of other things was that we had a Boys and Girls Club night with the fire department in conjunction with the Boys and Girls Club. It was very successful. We had a number of boys and girls that came to be part of it, and really it's about learning about first responders and those jobs. And there's, I believe, a 10-week curriculum that they're coming in every week, and they're learning about these jobs and why we need more people signing up for these jobs, because they do help and serve our community. Also, the county has received the notice of resolution that we had here at our local table in regards to a pedestrian crossing at the Lyndhurst Bridge. This has been a real concern for locals and for us as a municipality, that there's no safe designated crossing for pedestrians across the Lyndhurst Bridge, which is a historical bridge, the oldest bridge in Ontario. Funny enough, we were just looking to have some discussion about it, but what came out of the preliminary discussion at the county was a neighbor mayor who made a very good suggestion about putting in a crossing light at either side of the bridge that a pedestrian could push, have safe egress across the bridge, and then would stop the traffic from coming across while they're crossing. So we're really hopeful that the county makes that part of their plan. We made it clear in our resolution that that is what we were hoping for, and we can make things a little bit safer. I also said a sincere thank you to our snowplow operators who've been working hard over the last 5-10 days with the many snow events and rain and ice. They work extremely hard to make sure that the roads are safe for our residents and visitors, and we really appreciate all their efforts. When we're fast asleep, they're up and getting the roads ready so that we can go to work. Lastly, there was a historical post that I posted on my social media page, and it was in regards to an article written by the Whig Standard in 1973. That article was about the then Reeve at the time, who was Art Modler, who was talking about the need for a community center that needed to be championed by a number of municipalities who needed basically a space that would fit more than 100 people for banquets, weddings, just gatherings of importance that could be done locally rather than having to go outside of the community. He called upon the front of Escott and the front of Yonge to come in and work together to create this community building. History tells us that that didn't happen. We ended up fundraising locally by a number of community champions who made that happen, found the money, got the matching dollars from the province, and built what is now known as the Lansdowne Community Building, but it's only owned and only was championed by the municipality of the front of Leeds and Lansdowne. But 50 years later, that building is in need of some TLC. It was built to a standard 50 years ago that doesn't exist anymore, and as things wear out and need to be replaced, it's harder and harder to do that just because of the way the building was built. So over the next few years, we're going to have to figure out what the path forward is for a better, more vibrant community center. The library still remains there. The space still gets used often. It's just starting to look a little bit tired and not necessarily representative of the vibrancy of our community. And the other thing that was talked about in that article was the need for an ice rink. The natural ice rink, as they called it, which didn't have any artificial chillers or Zambonis or anything like that, wasn't dependable ice for local kids and adults to skate on. So they were calling for cooperation between many municipalities to try to make that happen as well. And as I said in my earlier review of the meeting, we've just signed another year MOU with the Lou Jeffries Arena in the town of Gananoque. This has been contentious. This has been difficult because the rising costs continue to rise. But we all know that building another new arena one municipality over is not the answer. So we're working as a working group with the town of Gananoque to try to find a solution to make sure that we have ice times available to local children, seniors, and the public at large, that they can enjoy some indoor exercise in the local community. So if you'd like to read more about that post, it was very interesting, please go and read it. It's on my Facebook page, my mayor Facebook page for the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands. And that is everything for your council catch-up for January 2024.